from being involved in a crazy multi-car accident to having his MMA career tumble right before his eyes. UFC legend Tony Ferguson is in serious trouble after being arrested on suspicion of DUI. For starters, it's unbelievable how no one got hurt. Remember when Ferguson was at his peak and used to hit like a truck? Well, it looks like he's still got it. He literally drove his truck straight into two unoccupied cars in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. in Hollywood. Ferguson had two other passengers in the truck as well, and what's amazing is all of them came out without a scratch. They did have to pull them out though, since the truck was lying flat on its side with one half completely totaled. And the LAPD hasn't shared any details yet, but judging from the damage, he was probably flooring it with the car easily cruising at speeds of 60 to 80 miles per hour. I mean, that's 4,000 pounds of destruction traveling at a super dangerous speed. And when the truck was flipped back upward, it wasn't even balanced since the tire on one side had completely been crushed after the impact. But yeah, Tony took way more damage when he fought Justin Gaethje compared to this accident. And what's interesting is, even after the crash, Ferguson was conscious enough to refuse a breathalyzer test. He did end up getting arrested though, because the officers on the scene said he reeked of alcohol. And I don't want to make assumptions, but maybe the reason why he refused to take the tests is because he was drunk? Plus, the fact that his management hasn't yet commented on the incident just makes it even shadier. But having seen his amazing MMA journey, it's sad to see what's become of the former interim lightweight champion. Honestly speaking, I think it's high time Ferguson considered hanging up the gloves. He's 39 years old now, and it's pretty obvious his performance has rapidly declined inside the octagon. He's lost 5 fights in a row now, and the way he's been manhandled by opponents like Gaethje also indicates his time inside the cage is over. Plus, let's not forget what happened back in 2019 when his wife Christina filed a restraining order against him. Apparently, he started acting weird, going through episodes of intense paranoia and sleep deprivation. On some occasions, Tony was reported to become super aggressive and smash up his own property. But the most concerning incident was when he went crazy thinking a tracking chip had been inserted in his leg after an injury. And don't get me wrong, I have the utmost respect for Tony and what he's achieved inside the cage, but I think he needs help now, since he's clearly not in the shape to fight again. I mean, more repeated blows to the head are the last thing he needs at this point. And this crash might just become the nail in the coffin, forcing him to hang up the gloves and focus on his health. Also, I think the UFC boss Dana White also has a role to play in this. He should forcefully put an end to his career since he's clearly not in the right place. UFC bantamweight superstar Sean O'Malley also shared his reaction to the incident, and to be honest, he spoke nothing but facts. Above everything, Sean was just concerned. Anytime somebody's drinking and driving, you gotta maybe assume that things aren't going good, you know what I mean? Well, Sugar does have a point. And like I said before, everyone is concerned for Tony. But does that mean he can go around driving his car under the influence? Sean certainly doesn't think so. In fact, he slammed Ferguson for driving drunk and thinks he's lucky no one got hurt. I mean, sure, Tony might not be in the best position right now, but that's not a good reason to get behind the wheel drunk. You could easily hurt someone while driving sober, so I can't even imagine what it must be like when you're buzzed. So while Sean wants Ferguson to get help, he doesn't feel bad for him at all, because what he did that night was nothing but dangerous, stupid, and careless. Plus, like I said before, I think the UFC seriously needs to intervene at this point. More and more of their fighters are starting to get in trouble with the law. They're either facing charges or being dragged to court for something dumb. So it's high time Uncle Dana set an example and did something about it. Just look at Jorge Masvidal, for example. He's literally facing criminal charges for assaulting a fighter in public. And what does the UFC do? They schedule a fight. But in Tony's case, I think they need to put down the foot and tell him enough is enough. Also, did you know he's no longer in police custody? Yep, Tony's already out. His bond was set at $30,000, but he didn't have to pay it since he was released on his own recognizance. Or in other words, Ferguson pledged he'd pay the money in case he didn't show up to court. And while I'm no legal expert, I just have one question about all of this. Did the police test him while he was in custody? Because as of right now, there's no confirmation that Tony was indeed drunk that night. I mean, the cops did say he reeked of alcohol, but is that really going to work in court? Because he was ultimately taken in on suspicion of driving under the influence. And this might be a controversial opinion, but I think Tony needed all this. Even when his wife filed a restraining order back in 2019, she did it because she wanted him to get back into fighting as soon as possible. That wasn't the right decision if you ask me. He has some demons to deal with, and provided he sits out and forgets about fighting during this entire investigation, it's better for both him and his family. I actually think he should just announce his retirement because fighting will do him no good. He's 39 years old now and hasn't won a single fight since 2019. It's not like he's getting any better. So instead of putting his mental health on the line again, it's best if he retired gracefully without letting things get ugly again. The last thing fight fans want to see at this point is another Jon Jones situation. And speaking of the fans, they can't help but feel bad for Tony. I don't know how to explain it. It's a shame to see Ferguson like this. He literally used to be one of the most feared fighters at the promotion, but it just sort of went downhill for him. And after the accident, his fans have finally given in, calling it the perfect time for Tony to walk away. They stormed social media and shared how it's heartbreaking to see their favorite fighter go down like that. Some of them tried to look at the positive and shared how it's good no one got hurt. But I'm with Sean on this one. I'm not saying Tony's lucky no one got hurt. All I'm saying is he put people at risk and he should be held accountable for that. Believe it or not, some people even commented how the beatings from Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler changed him forever. Honestly, it all boils down to legacy. Is this how he wants to be remembered? MMA fans still think he's one of the best fighters to grace the game, and instead of being remembered as a fighter who fell hard, it's better if he maintained his class and walked away. But here's what blew me away the most. Some fight enthusiasts still think Ferguson should put this behind him and focus on bouncing back. Bouncing back to what exactly? The man's 39 years old now. Stop expecting the old Tony and just let him retire in peace. He's pretty much witnessed his career come crashing down in front of his own eyes. I will give credit to Ferguson for keeping the fire alive. It's incredible how he's still thinking of winning despite watching his career tumble right in front of him. 5 fights now. 5 fights that he's gone without victory. And if you ask me, some of them have been a real wake-up call. I think I've already mentioned the Gaethje fight enough, but what Chandler did to him was also a sign to walk away. El Cucui's most recent defeat came against Nate Diaz, and even though Tony put up a good performance, he just couldn't find his rhythm that night. In fact, it wouldn't be wrong to say he's failed to find it for quite some time now, 5 years to be exact. So yeah, at the end of the day, I don't want to see a fighter throwing away his life in the hopes to reclaim his previous status. Anyway, let's see how things play out for the former interim champion. I don't think he'll have to do time, but the UFC might just force him to exit after this. Even the fans are fed up now, so there's really no point in giving him another chance because there's more to lose now. But yeah, from having his career come crashing down to miraculously surviving a deadly car accident, that's everything about Tony Ferguson's arrest.